Also to ASEF, so Leonie, Angie, Jyoti, Martin and the team, a huge thank you from my point of view as a business for inviting us here. It's been a great learning experience for me and an opportunity to meet teachers from all around the world. So thank you very much for getting us involved on this level and giving us the opportunity to work with teachers and expand what we do as a company. So thank you very much. Finally, I want to thank everyone here, all the teachers. Being in the industry, in education, I don't think I've had an opportunity like this before to meet teachers with your enthusiasm and excitement for education and new technologies, new ways of teaching your students, all in one room, all at one time. And you've shared your knowledge with me. The workshops that we've done have been a valuable sort of experience for me to understand your thinking behind these new topics that are being brought to you in terms of ESD and using AI in education. So yes, great experience for me, and I've really enjoyed talking with all of you and learning from you. So thank you very much. Big round of applause for yourselves. Okay, I'll actually start what I'm here to do. So three key points I'm going to talk about today. I think I'm a bit tight on time, so I will make I'll try and make it as short as possible. I want to introduce ScienceScript to you. I've spoken to a number of you throughout the week, but not all of you I've been able to talk about what we do as a company, how we've got to where we are now, how we've developed the technologies that and the resources that we're going to be using in this project over the next year. Then I'll introduce the project to you, the structure of the project, what it entails, what we almost want from you as teachers, and what we will input to that project. And then the goals of the project, or I should say the current goals. Juliet was mentioning, there is no specific outcome from this. We have ideas about how the project will look after 12 months, where you will be, where your students will be, what experiences you would have had. But there is a lot of scope for change. We want input from yourselves, from your students. So yes, it will develop. A brief history of ScienceScript, and I will keep it brief. 20 years of experience in the education sector. Our current CEO, boss, David Krellin, he set the business up over 20 years ago, designing equipment and resources to be used in science lessons, geography lessons, any practical experiment that would be done in the classroom, we had equipment for that. There's a couple of pictures of some of the equipment that we still sell, but it's not our main focus. We've developed a range of over 50 sensors and data loggers for use in education. This technology that we've developed has sort of enhanced or has been used in creating the new technologies that we use today. Probably the more important aspect to what we're doing in the collaborations project is my next point about working on a number of projects internationally, bringing IoT and digital technologies into the classroom. So it started off about 6 years ago. We worked on a project called the Distance Project, which was a UK-based project, developing the idea of using the Internet of Things, IoT, in the classroom. We worked with companies such as Intel, institutions like the University College London, along with 8 schools, to develop some equipment and to develop the online platform, which is the early stages of what you will be using in this project. We then won some funding to do a similar project in Singapore with 5 schools, and this was just an extension of what we'd already done, developing the technologies, the resources further. That then led on to a project in NIE, National Institute for Education. You've already had a little brief about who they are, what they do, but just to remind you, all teachers going into the classroom, they are trained, they are educated on the role of a teacher at the National Institute for Education. And we set up an IoT lab there. So the idea being that teachers going through to becoming a teacher for a profession will have the experience of using big data and the Internet of Things. Then 2 years ago, we won a larger amount of funding from Expo 2020 Dubai. I don't know if anyone here has heard about that. It's a large World Expo being held in Dubai in October next year. And part of that, there was a funding pot to develop business, to develop new technologies to be showcased at the event. We won an initial grant to do a small project in Dubai, which we worked with one school. Again, just developing all of this technology further. And then that was a success from our point of view and from Expo Live 2020 funding point of view, and we received a larger amount of money to develop this on a global scale, which is where you guys come in, where this project comes in. This opportunity here is a great opportunity to have a global project, to develop what we're trying to do, but on a global scale. We are looking to reach potentially 51 schools from Asia and Europe. And we will have presence at this expo in Dubai next year, and we want to showcase what we're doing, or what we will have done here, and show what can be done with the power of collaboration and the power of data in education. And the final point about ScienceScope. 18 months ago, we moved our business on site of a school, Downside School, which Mike is deputy headmaster of. We did this with the aim of, we are an educational company, we work in the education sector. The aim was to partner with a school, have a school that we can bounce ideas off, we can develop new technologies with, we can trial new technologies, we can use them to help us create lesson resources that are relevant to the UK curriculum, but potentially to a wider audience. Mike's going to explain, after I've finished, a bit more about how the technologies that we're using for the project benefit Downside School, and you can also say how ScienceScope benefit Downside School a little bit as well, if you want to. Obviously. Okay, yeah. Okay, so the actual collaborations project, we use the title STEM Learning through the use of IoT and big data in the classroom. Tagline for the project would be: the project connects schools from across Europe and Asia through a network of IoT devices and big data. We aim to give students the opportunity to first of all gain a knowledge base about their local environments, okay? Understand how weather patterns work within their country, within their local area, but then also how the weather patterns work throughout the world. I've had some interesting conversations, particularly today, with colleagues from the Philippines, and it seems their weather is so different from what we're experiencing in the UK. I feel, it kind of inspires me on the fact that this project is going to be so useful to teachers and to students, and students are going to gain such, or they're going to have such a good experience and gain a great knowledge base of global weather. And then students and teachers the idea of this is to collaborate. So we want the students, the teachers, so you guys or teachers that may be more suited to running this project within your schools, to collaborate with the other teachers from around the world, bounce ideas off each other. We need to develop a project that works for all, not just the schools in the UK, that meets the UK curriculum needs, that also meets the curriculum needs of Japan, of Indonesia, or of France, etc. And then we want the students to collaborate as well through the use of things like social media, maybe face-to-face video conferencing. Students learning from other students, I think, is key. They can gain an understanding of what the classroom environment is in different countries. My next point, this is sort of developed. Originally we had funding for 20 schools to take part in this project, but we are aiming to have 51 schools, everyone here involved. So we will look to gain extra funding, but there will be means to have, or we are aiming to have means to have the full cohort here. And the initial project term is 12 months, but as Leonie has said, this is looking beyond that. Okay, we have an idea of how we want the 12 months to look, but we want it to be taken further. We want more schools to be engaged. I've spoken to a number of you who have schools that you partner with within your country, some in other countries, and we want those involved too. Okay, we want as much. This project works best with the more data you have, the more learning opportunities are available. So I'll just step back a little bit, okay? What is IoT, so that everybody understands? Stands for Internet of Things. In terms of describing it, if you go online, you can read all sorts of technical sentences, paragraphs, to try and explain what IoT is. It's not an easy concept, I suppose, to explain in one sentence, but this is how I describe it in one sentence. So IoT is the connecting of billions of devices, the things, to the internet and to each other. But how are we using IoT for education? We've created a brand which we call IoT at School, and this is the brand under which we will be doing this project. And our tagline for IoT at School is it's a concept and a digital resource designed to bring the Internet of Things to the classroom through device data sharing and collaboration between schools, teachers and students worldwide. Okay, so the structure of the project, how it will actually look and work in practice. Each school involved, they'll receive 2 IoT devices. A weather station, which will generate data on temperature, humidity, pressure, rainfall, all the standard ones you'd expect a weather station to have. Also an internal monitoring device, which is that techie looking device in the top right corner. That will monitor your internal environment. So you can monitor classroom environments and how your students, or student behaviour, depending on what the environment is. Students can also, when they're collaborating with each other, can start to understand how other students in other countries learn, what their classroom looks like. Then you get what I would say probably the most difficult part of the project, or at least the early stages of the project, which is connecting. We've had multiple technical issues throughout the week here. Okay, connecting these devices to the internet in one sense is simple, but in schools, as you probably all know, schools' IT systems are very locked down. There are filtering systems, access issues, browser-based logon issues. So we, in the early stages of the project, once the schools have signed up, once we know who's going to be involved in the project, we will send out a questionnaire, and we need you to engage your IT departments in this, to fill out the questionnaire and to check that you will have the ability to connect. From our point of view, we've worked with Downside School on this to create or to develop a way that you can always not so much get around the IT systems, but if the IT teams are willing, which I hope they would be, there are ways of making this happen, which doesn't sort of take away from the fact that they need to keep the students safe through the internet access they're allowed. You can still do this without bypassing all of their systems. So we will need you to engage your IT team as part of this, which is very, very key. Once you are connected,